Yeah. Again, no, we are talking about inequalities this time in this video. So that is the four symbols that you will see in inequalities. X is greater than 3, X is less than 3, X is greater and equal than 3, and X is less or equal to 3. When you have to graph the first two, you have to use an open circle or you have to use brackets. No, the parentheses. You have to use parentheses when you are graphing these first two. When you need to graph to express your answer, X is greater and equal or X is less and equal, you have to use solid circles or you have to use brackets. That is the most important part that we are doing in these equations. And this first one means that X is greater than 3. The second one means that X is less than 3. The third one says that X is greater or equal to 3. And the last one is saying that X is less or equal to 3. So you have these four expressions that you will see when we're doing inequalities. Any questions so far? So remember the open and closed circles and the brackets and the parentheses for graphing also is for interval notation because they will ask you to express, you have to express your answer no in inequality notation, and I will pick the first one to do that. No, X is greater X is greater or equal to 3. That will be inequality notation. Let's put only X is greater than 3. In interval notation, you have to use parentheses. But if I say that X is greater than 3, what the answer is saying is this: every solution, every real number that is a solution for this equation is greater than 3. So you have to graph this in a number line in what direction your arrow is going. If all the values
Right.
to the right, your arrow is going to the right. Everybody agree with that? Just when you write this, you open parentheses, you have your 3, comma, and where this arrow will end in the right.
Never.
What other number?
Infinity.
Infinitive. So you put infinitive and close your parentheses. That will be interval notation. If we have to graph, and then when you graph, you put your number line. I will abbreviate the 3 for the sake of time. That is your 3. So because we are using, you can use an open circle and a line in this way. or you can also use parentheses over the 3 and the line going in this direction. Both ways are okay. That is the way. Let me do this better. That is your 3. You put your parentheses there, and you continue this line, the same line to infinity. So that is the different ways that you can answer this question. There is one more that they're asking to answer the question. Let me see if we have this here. No, I don't have this in this one. But they're asking you to do also a set builder notation. If you put set builder notation, the set builder notation is this thingy that you have. It's like this kind of parenthesis that's crooked. So you put an X, you put a bar, or a slash forward, or a slash forward straight by 1 or 2. And then you put your inequality, X, and you close again. That is set builder. Set builder notation. So that is all the ways that you can express the answer. You can express the answer as an inequality. You can express the same answer as an interval notation. You can express the answer as a graph, or you can express the answer as a set builder notation. And in the test or in the assignment, they will interchange. In one question, we'll ask him, express your answer in interval. In another one, we'll say, express your answer in set builder. In another one, we'll ask you to graph the answer. Or in the test, they will give you this graph, and they will ask you to put the equation in interval or inequality. So you need to know how to go from here to here, or from the graph back to the inequality. Any questions so far? No questions? If I can go to the first question. Okay. Can I erase that? Okay. So let me erase, and again, I'm recording this class. If you have any questions, you can go back to this video as many times you want. Now, remember also, as part of the free advertisement, that see, that is the one that have interval notation. Yeah, no, it's the same thing. Remember that the next week, Wednesday, is the exam number 1. Remember that after the exam number 1, every assignment before will be closed. So I ask you, please, with capital P, now don't get behind, and try to use this weekend to catch up in any assignment that you are past due. Remember, I give you the ability to work even past the assignment and don't go against your grade. I don't take you any point if you work out of the due date, but when the exam finish, all is closed, and whatsoever have not been done, you get a 0. Don't do that, please. Will affect your grade or your grade. So the first question that we have in this assignment, is question number 1. Is the 4x is greater than 3. You have 4x is greater than 3. So how you solve this assignment? Remember, when you have these symbols, these inequality symbols, you can consider to do the same equations or the same moves or the same process if you have an equal sign there. You can move things to the right and to the left of the symbol in the same way that you did when you have an equal sign before. If that is true, and I need to solve for x, what would be the equation I need to do? How I isolate my x? Exactly. I divide by 4 both sides. And when I do that, no, these two 4 cancel. And my answer is that x is greater than 3 over 4. And somebody can find this in your calculator, 3 divided by 4. You don't have a calculator? Remember 0.75? Remember, when you come to class, you have calculators there available for you. So it will be 0.75. So if I have to do this in interval notation, what will be the interval notation? You tell me. What I need to put first? A parenthesis, because it's only x is greater than, only parenthesis. And in my parenthesis, I need to put, because it's greater than 3/4, I will put here, I can put 3/4, or you can put your 0.75 if you want, doesn't matter, no? And comma, and what else it goes? Infinitive, and then after infinitive, what I call place there? A parenthesis. Some people say, but why you put a parenthesis every time that you have infinitive or negative infinitive? Well, who can tell me where infinity ends? I don't know. It's an undefined number. See, I don't know where it ends. Who knows where negative infinity ends? That is the reason you put even you have to use brackets in one side every time that you have to place infinitive or negative infinitive, you put a parenthesis next. And then how I will do that in graphing. That is my graph, and that is the reason I asked for this number. That is your 0, and you want I will 1, 2, and 3. That is 0. And 0.75 is around here. 0.75, and that is my 1. So what I need to put here over next to 0.75 or over?
Open dot.
I open that because I am graphing now. So I put my open here over the 0.75, and then because the values that are an answer for this equation are greater than 0.75, I will put my line this way. Most likely, in your exam, you will have these pictures. They will give you the same thing, 0, you have your 4 ticks, that is your 1, no? And then here, where 0.75 goes, they will put here a parenthesis in this way. And then your line will be pointing this way. That is another way to do it, because the parenthesis is exactly where 0.75 is, and go this way, and you're saying the same thing. All the answers for these equations are greater than 0.75 or 3/4. So look for this picture. More likely that is what you look in your exam, not a circle. Why I use both? Because later, when we are doing some equations, you will have to use the circle. So I introduce both to you. Any question? And you have to do this in set builder. You put this curly thingy. No, you put your x, your bar, and then you repeat this stuff. X is greater than 3/4, and then you close your thing. That is builder set notation. That is graphing, that is interval notation, and that is inequality notation, and decimal notation. You have so many ways to express your answer. Any question? Go to next. Okay. I will erase. I can erase. Okay. And let's go to another example. Okay, that is something that we need to apply. I will try to put these two examples one next to another because there is another rule that we need to remember. 30. Every time, you can write this time, that every time that you have to divide or multiply both sides by a negative number, you switch or you flip the direction of the inequality. If you know that, well, you don't want to write it, but if you don't know, write it down to remember in the test, because I have people in the test that they have the right algebraic process, but in the end, they forgot to switch the direction of the inequality. So in this case, to solve for that, what you have to do, you have to divide both sides by -5 to isolate your x. So your answer will be x, but before put this number, you need to change the direction of the sign. And then 30, positive 30 divided by -5 will be -6. So that is your answer. And this answer is saying that all the real numbers that is a solution for this equation are equal or are less than 6, -6. How you do that in interval notation? What you have to put there? What you have to put? You have a bracket because now is less than equal. So you need to put the bracket here because this line, before that, in what direction this line is going? If all the values are less than -6, to the left. Do this first, and then you understand it. Go to the left. First of all, you put your bracket and you put your -6. Then you put your comma, and what go next? Negative infinity. Very good. And then you put another bracket there. No, you have to put a parenthesis because you don't know where negative infinity ends. Then you have inequality interval. To graph this stuff, that is your zero, your origin. And imagine that is your -6. There's two ways to do it. You can put, in this case, will be an open or a closed circle. A closed because it's less or equal. You put your closed circle here, and from the closed circle, you throw your line in this way. But most likely, in the text, in the homework, you will have this picture. That is your 0, and where the -6 is, you have a bracket, no, where -6 is, and this line continue in this direction. That is what you will see more likely in your homework. A bracket or next to -6, and the same line is going in this way. You don't have to draw another line. If you need to do the answer, you have to put a bracket over 6, pointing to the left. That is the only thing you have to do. Because this graph is saying all the values are equal to 6 or -6. Or less than -6. Any questions? And you need to do the set builder. You put your curly thing, x, the bar, and you put this inequality. X is less or equal to -6, and you finish the thing. So that is all the ways that you can express your answer. They will ask you to do all, to do one of them, to do two of them, you know how to do it. Can go to the next. Let's do one with multiplication. Multiplying both sides by a negative number. We divide both sides by a negative number. I can erase that. Let's multiply both sides by a negative number. So let me find a good example of that. Yeah, that is a good example. Because imagine that you have 3 over 2, and you have 3 halves, you have a negative 3 halves. Well, let's put the negative 3 halves x, no, is less than negative 12. Because you need to read out of this fraction. And to do that, you can do two things. You can multiply the fraction by its reciprocal, or you can multiply both sides by 2. Both ways are okay. Which one you want to do?
Multiply by 2.
By 2, okay? Because I have a negative, I will multiply by negative 2 to take away the 2 and the sign. But also I need to multiply this side by negative 2. Sorry. So because I do that, this negative 2 and this 2 will cancel. And then I have now 3x. No, 3x is greater than, because I multiply for both sides by a negative number, I need to change the direction. It's greater than negative 24, because negative and negatives are positive. So that is the other example. Now we multiply both sides by a negative number. I have to change the direction of the symbol, the inequality symbol. In the beginning was less than, now it's greater than. And then I complete as we did before. To isolate my x, I divide both sides by 3, and x is greater than 8. How much time we have? How much time? We are almost in time.
57.
I pass it?
Yeah.
May I have time to do one more example? Because I will give you the 3 examples that we use in your homework. And then the rest, you look your notes on me. I'm sorry for past your time. I get excited with do math. I love math. It can be the whole day here. So that is the answer. That is inequality notation. How I do that in interval notation? Parentheses. I put my 8, comma, what's going next? Infinity, because this is going this direction. If all the answers are greater than 8, it's going to the right. So I will have infinity. If I have to do the graph, again, that is your origin. Imagine that is your 8, and you can put an open circle and a line this way. But what you will see most likely in your homework is the same line. And when 8 is, you will have a parenthesis in this way. That is what most likely we'll see in your test. But when we do we're doing graphing, especially graphing piecewise functions, we will have to use these circles. So it's better to learn right now, and what means that have to do it later. And then to do the set builder, you have your curly thing, x, the bar, and you put x greater than 8, and you close the curly. Everybody got it? I can erase? So the last one is when you have two inequalities together in one equation. That is the third kind of problem that you will see when you are doing inequalities. And let me go quickly in my last page is that. Yeah, that is a good example. So you have negative 30, you have this symbol, you have 30t minus 60, and you have the same symbol and 30. That is another kind of inequality. You have two inequalities in one. Some textbooks tell you you can divide in two equations, but sometimes I saw students have a hard time how to put the answer together. So if we can work this together like you're working any assignment, you need to solve for t. That is your variable. Because anything in the middle have to go except t. So I need to move my negative 60. How I can move 60 to the other side? Because I have to move to both sides. Is this a negative 60? How I cancel the negative 60?
And 60.
I need to add 60 to both sides. I bought 60 here, plus 60 here, and plus 60 here. And now I perform my equations. Positive 60 minus 30 is 30. Very good. It's okay. You're thinking. That is what matters. These guys cancel. No, and then right here, you have positive 30 and positive 60 will be a 90. Everybody agree with that? So it's now, we have now, and in the end, I have 30t only. So how I can isolate my t? What I need to do? Divide by 30 everything. Because remember, what we're doing one side, we're doing the other. You divide by 30, and you get here a 1, no, greater than equal. And then here you get a t only, and then you get a 3. And that is your answer. So the answer is that all the answers that can, all real numbers that are an answer for this equation are less or equal, no, are greater or equal to 1, greater or equal to 1, or are less or equal to 3. Let's graph first of all, and when you put what you have to put in building notation, you put brackets or parentheses? Brackets, because it's greater and equal. You put your bracket, you put your 1, comma 3. That will be your answer. Then you have to graph again. I will do the one to solve time, okay? You have your 1, and you have your 1. You put a bracket here where 1 is, and then you put another bracket here with 3 is. Sorry, I put right now, I put bracket. That is your 1 number, no? And then the other bracket will be in 3. That is build a interval. To graph this stuff, oh no, that is the graph, sorry. You put 2 brackets, one next to the 3 in the number line, and the other one next to the 1. And the other way to do it is, that is your 0. That is wrong. Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. I tried to hurry up, and that is your 1, and that is your 2, and that is your 3. So the first bracket has to go over the 1 and close next to 3. That will be the graph. And the line keep going in this direction. And the other way to do it is you have your 0 and you have your 1 here, your 2, and you have your 3. You put here a closed circle because it's greater and equal. You put a closed circle over the 3 and connect it with a line. That's another way to graph, and that's what we do in piecewise functions later. And then interval set builder, you put your curvy thing, your x, the bar, and you put 1 and close the thing. That will be the answers. And that is the 3 examples that you will see in your assignment. Well, there's the same thing they repeat, but it's the same kind of example. Any question about that? Well, guys, today is Friday. Don't forget it that today in the afternoon you will have your practice test and you can take it as many times you want. And the grades that will populate it is only for your knowledge, will not affect your overall grade. And you can take it 400 times you want. Monday, when you come, we'll review for the test. And then Wednesday, we take the test. You will have 2 days to take the test. Wednesday and Friday. Wednesday, I will give you your test. If you cannot finish the test Wednesday, you need to put an X in the top of the test and give it back to me. But when you come Friday, you need to finish. There's no more time. Okay? So that will give you opportunity to study again because the whole idea is you learn. You study and learn. Okay, well, I will see you Wednesday, Monday. God bless all. Don't forget to go Sunday to church and have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you, sir.